So Diddy's the only individual or single person that I've seen that's been hit with a RICO charge. How is that all working out? Because that's such a broad charge.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, honestly, when I heard he had a RICO charge, I'm thinking it's like 10 or 15 people who helping him do this, because that's what normally happens in a RICO case. For him to be the only one charged in a RICO case, the defense attorney, in closing, I'm sure is going to touch on that, because the reality of it is that it's a broad spectrum for RICO, but RICO was designed to go after the mafia. It wasn't designed to go after somebody who's having sex parties.
That's interesting. So
hold on.
Go ahead, Gary.
Okay, so now tell me this, Warren. So let's talk about the Kid Cudi car getting blown up. Now, you know his car was blown up in his driveway, and he was allegedly playing with Cassie at the time. So was the prosecution able to prove that Diddy was the person behind the car?
Hey, Gary, you know what they did? They pulled that off the table. That's why they removed the arson in California, because the arson was Kid Cudi. They were trying to say that he did a gangster type thing, which was be under RICO by burning up the car. But because they couldn't prove that he actually burned up the car, they had to pull it off the table. Now, to me, that should tell everybody that this case was weak from the beginning. It was weak from the start. But these prosecutors, because they have this qualified immunity, they get to do this. And what's sad about it is, because they get qualified immunity, the police get de facto qualified immunity. Because whatever the cops write in their police report, even if they lie, the prosecutors still would charge you with that, because the prosecutors can't be ever dealt with even if you prove that they didn't have the evidence to charge you from the beginning. And in our legal system, they don't even have to, for an indictment to happen, they don't even have to prove you did anything wrong. All they have to do is prove that you were there. So Gary with the T, if a murder happened at 10 o'clock at night and you standing on the corner and you the only one out there that people see, the police going to arrest you and indict you for murder, because all the prosecutors got to do with the grand jury is say that this murder happened at 10 o'clock, you were standing on the corner, witnesses saw you there, so it's a possibility that you did it. A possibility. Not that you did it, a possibility. And that'll be enough for a bill of indictment.
Well, Warren, my thing is this, too. Now, if Diddy was to get off from all of this and stuff, would the humiliation last forever, or would he just be able to brush it off and continue going on with his regular life?
No, he's done as far as entertainment-wise, man, because that video, like I said, from a technical point of view, what he's being criminally charged with, he shouldn't be found guilty. But that video, what he did to Cassie, the testimony about Cassie's parents, he's a monster. He's a monster. And as somebody who has a daughter, somebody who has sisters, who has nieces, if Diddy was dealing with the right one, Diddy would have had a problem. He would have had a problem.
Wow.
That's some good information.
This is all so good. So Diddy didn't take the stand, and the defense didn't bring any witnesses, but the prosecution brought about 30 witnesses. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, what happens in cases like this usually is that the defense attorney doesn't want to put their client on the stand, because they don't know what the prosecution is going to ask the client. They don't know what's going to come out. So you don't want to put them up there and ask them a question that you don't know the answer to as an attorney. But I think that in this particular case, the reason they didn't put him on the stand, honestly, the Department of Justice didn't prove their case. They have not proved that this man did any of the things that they said he was guilty of. All they've proven is that he was having parties, that he was a piece of crap to Cassie and to other people, and that it was drugs and sex happening. That's it.
Hey, Warren.
It sounded like the Playboy mentioned to me.
Hey, Warren, hold that thought. We're going to bring you back on the other side, because this is really, really interesting, and you giving us some stuff. So I'm gonna go to a commercial. I'm gonna bring you back on the other side. And if anybody want to call in, you can hit us up if you have a question for Warren Valentine. 866-9-RICKY, 866-9-RICKEY. More Warren Valentine. Boy, that's how I'm about to get tongue twisted. But it's too many what is it, syllables? Vowels. More Valentine up next. Rickey Smiley Morning Show.
What's up?
All right, y'all. Rickey Smiley Morning Show. Hey, we got special guest Warren Valentine. We're talking about the Diddy case. That case is about to close. They're doing their final arguments the prosecution today and the defense tomorrow. Alfreda's, you had a question.
Yeah, I just want to know, if convicted, what's next? Are there plea options, sentencing negotiations, or bond moves on the table?
Well, if he's convicted, what'll happen next is about 6 to 8 weeks from now, they'll come back for the sentencing hearing. And what they'll do is what they call a pre-sentencing hearing investigation. And basically, they'll go around, they'll talk to his friends, his family, they'll assess all the money he may have, all the property he may have. Because like I said, the IRS at that point, in fact, from the point that he got arrested, they've probably been auditing him through the IRS ever since he got arrested now. And they'll use the IRS to go attack those things. See, people think the case, like I said, they think the case is over with when he's found guilty or not guilty. But the federal government still uses the IRS, which is part of the federal government, to go after people. So they'll do the pre-sentencing investigation, and then based on that, it'll be a recommendation of what his jail sentence should be. And then at that point, the judge can decide if they're going to agree with it or disagree with it.
All right, let's go to the phone. You're on with Warren Valentine. Good morning.
Good morning. I was calling from Richmond, Virginia. Now, if they can do this for Puffy, I want to know, why is R. Kelly still in jail?
It's a different kind of a case, and I'll tell you why it's a different kind of a case. Because you had minors that was involved in the R. Kelly case. And because you had minors that was involved in the R. Kelly case, and like even with the Combs case, if the jury finds him guilty, even if all the evidence wasn't proved, they're going to find him guilty and he'll be put in jail. And that's why I said, unfortunately, the way our legal system is set up and the way it works, because of this qualified immunity, these prosecutors, they get to prosecute big name people so that they can make a name for themselves. Look, to be honest with you, these prosecutors are making maybe $80,000, maybe $100,000 a year, which sounds like some good money to the average person, and I understand that. But for attorneys, that's not a lot of money. If you're a big attorney and you got a big caseload, you can make anywhere between $500,000 and $1 million a year, even if you're just doing DUIs, or bankruptcy. So these attorneys that's in these prosecutors' office who are making this little bit of money, they're trying to make a name for themselves so they can go out and get into the public and make big money later on in life. So when you get a big name person in the case, you just throw them in there no matter what, because you're trying to make a name for yourself.
All right. You're on Warren Valentine. Good morning.
My name is Ken Matthews. I'm calling from Northeast Mississippi. I wanted to ask, does this basically mean that Diddy will just be charged for domestic abuse?
Well, they didn't charge him with domestic abuse. They never charged him with that because of the statute of limitations and because it would have been a state case in California where it happened at. These are federal charges out of New York, and because they've charged him on the federal level and it's out of New York, he won't be charged with any kind of domestic abuse. If the jury follows the instructions, he should be found not guilty. The problem is this. They're not going to follow the instructions because they're human beings. And because they're human beings, they can't erase seeing that video. They can't erase hearing how horrific he was to her parents, making them take out a loan for $20,000 and giving the money back. They're not going to be able to get past the fact of what they heard and how he was treating other people who worked for him. And because of that, he's likely to be found guilty, even though he's being found guilty for being a horrible human being, not for what he's being criminally charged with.
All right, John, Warren Valentine, good morning.
I'm calling from Ponce Inlet, Florida, and the question is, if they didn't have enough evidence on P. Diddy, why is he indicted? There's a really gray area here, but when the feds usually come for you, they got a 98% conviction rate, and I'm just wondering, if they didn't have enough evidence, why would they spend the money and the time?
That's a great question. And let me tell you something, 98% conviction rate. If you go to your local prosecutor's office, they have a 95% conviction rate. Why? It's not because they have enough evidence. In fact, in law school, they teach us from day one, you can indict a ham sandwich. Like I gave as the example with Gary with the teeth. For an indictment to happen, all they have to do is go in front of the grand jury and say you could have done it. The defense doesn't even get to go in and defend themselves. So once they go in there and say you could have done it, that's enough for a bill of an indictment. Now, the other part of that question is, why, when the feds come for you, they have all this evidence. Well, let's look at this case. It's not a lot of evidence proving that he did anything wrong, but they can charge him anyway because they have the qualified immunity, which means that it's no harm, no foul to them personally if they win or lose the case. It doesn't matter to them because he can never come back and sue them. And then with the 98% conviction rate, they have that conviction rate because literally 93% of all cases in the criminal system in this country are working on some kind of plea deal. And I give a quick example. If you get pulled over by a cop for speeding, the cop asks you to get out the car. You say, why do I have to get out the car? Now the cop can say you're resisting the cop. You get out of the car after that. The cop says, I'm putting you under arrest. You move your body or your arm. Now you're resisting arrest and you go to the cop. So from a speeding charge, you got 5 other charges. When the prosecutor sees this and the cop wrote this on the police report, the prosecutor prosecutes it. Then when you go to court, they're telling you, I'll give you probation for 1 year if you plead guilty, or if we take it to trial, you're looking at 5 years in jail. All from a speeding ticket. Not from you. You didn't touch the cop. You didn't resist arrest, but the cop can write all that out, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Wow. Special K, you took a plea deal, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Back in the day, 25 years ago, just to be exact, for people who just now tuning into the show. Yeah, back in my younger days. Yeah. 26 years to be honest.
Touchy situation.
Yeah, that means he didn't go to trial. And that was for writing bad checks.
Well, it wasn't. It was a little bit more extensive than that. I don't want people to think I wrote bad checks.
But you did.
What'd you do?
But we actually created.
You trying to survive?
Yeah, I was trying to survive, man. Hey, Warren, we actually created false documents.
Oh gosh, that might be worse.
It was definitely more profitable, but that's neither here nor there.
Cutting and pasting.
That was white crime.
It was white collar.
Hey, you better stop talking. You're gonna be next to Diddy in about 10 minutes.
Oh no! I did my time, and the statute of limitations is up.
Hey, Warren, can we have you back on tomorrow or the rest of the week as this go on?
As much as you need me, Ricky, you know I'm always here for you, brother, and for the show, man. You know how much I love you, how proud I am of all of y'all. You know, I brag on all of y'all, man. Y'all doing y'all thing. Y'all helping the community. Y'all helping the people. And that's what this is really supposed to be about. Information, empowerment, entertainment. Let's laugh, let's smile, let's cry, but let's also empower and inform.
Member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, 1914, the one and only attorney Warren Valentine. We look forward to having you on tomorrow, man. We're gonna get all into this, y'all. More Rickey Smiley Morning Show coming up.